everyone, and welcome to class. For today, there are no props needed, so whenever you have your space to practice in, we're going to go ahead and get started right away in downward facing dog. And when coming into your shape, especially since it's a more active one right off the bat, go ahead and either explore some stillness or some soft movement right away. But keeping it slow, controlled, comfortable. And just finding a way to connect to the earth right away. And moving into your shape, moving into your space, moving into the entire body all at once. I'm just trying to build some energy right from the get-go. Working your way through the back body, feeling the arms, the shoulders, the spine kind of turn on, all the muscles supporting your body, supporting your shape, igniting just a little bit. Maybe starting to feel a little bit more of a grip within the palms of your hands, really pulling up, sourcing that energy from underneath you, pulling that up and in through your body. Slowly starting to find a higher lift of the hips up and back in space. Starting to find that hinge within the front of the hips. Keeping that belly button lifted up and in towards the spine though. Keeping a mindfulness to your shape. And then within the next breath or so, settle into your center. And find that strong, supportive shape. Upper body is engaged, lower body is engaged, hips are lifted. Take 2 breaths here. And with every inhale, you're feeling the shape of your body, and every exhale, you're settling into it. One more breath, deep inhale. Full exhale all the way out. And then slowly lower the knees all the way down to the earth. Maybe bring them a little bit wider than hips width. Big toes to touch. Sit the hips back, child's pose. Coming out of the arms just a little bit. Stretching a little bit more through the side bodies as your hips slowly start to weigh heavy towards the heels. Maybe walking your fingertips closer to the top of the mat, really stretching out through the underside of the arms. Lengthening through the low back. And just find your breath once more, breathing deep into the back body. Feeling the back of the rib cage really lift up towards the sky. And on those exhales, settling into your shape. 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, nice and slow, grip through the earth as you round the body. Up and in towards a tabletop position. And as you come into that tabletop, move right into some soft movement once more, warming up the wrists. Toes can be tucked to work your way into the soles of the feet as well. And just finding some exploratory shapes here in this space. A little less activation, maybe more of an opportunity for some movement in this more supported space versus downward facing dog. You can keep your movement forward, front to back, or you can kind of find some angles, finding some circles, maybe moving into more of a barrel roll. Again, whatever you feel like your body is calling for, maybe it is some just strict movement within the hands and the feet, so that forward and back movement is everything that you need here. Or if you're looking for some more movement within the spine, incorporating those more fluid cat-cows, those barrel rolls might feel a little bit better. Work into the side body. maybe more into the hips. Just take 2 or 3 more breaths. Maybe really rolling through those shoulders as you find that space or that movement. One more breath. Until you settle into your tabletop position and tuck the toes. Gentle press the tops of the feet, the shins into the earth, heels into the earth, so you're finding a nice supportive tabletop position. And then from here, gaze is down towards the mat, but on that inhale, you're slowly going to feel the lift of the tailbone as the belly falls, rippling that energy all the way forward as you lift the gaze, finishing that inhale. And then exhale, round, pressing through the heels of the hands, spreading the shoulder blades nice and wide, and tailbone tucks underneath you, rounding. Inhale, lift. Pull that energy forward as the gaze lifts. And exhale, round. Finding space throughout the back body, soft engagement in the front body. Inhale. Arching all the way through the spine. Pulling that chest and heart forward. Shoulder blades down the back body. Exhale, round. Now those shoulder blades come away from one another. One more round, inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale back to that neutral spine. And then go ahead and take that right foot long back behind you, toes are tucked, and just shift your weight forward and back. Warming up the back line of the leg. Through the calf, through the sole of the foot. And then go ahead and bring the right foot outside with the right hand. And then go ahead and walk the left toes back behind you, finding a little bit more length through the front of that left hip. Coming up onto the fingertips to find a little bit longer spine, taller spine. And let the hips sink low here. Lifting up through the belly button, through the low belly. Feeling that space within the front of the hip. And then feel free to rock side to side, opening and closing that right knee. Giving your body the opportunity to sink into the shape just a little bit further. You can go ahead and settle into your space. Tall spine, and then sit the hips back, half splits pose. Right toes lift. Back toes can be tucked or untucked. And then reaching that heart forward. Keep that spine nice and long. Then come back, right foot plants. Hands come down, right knee meets the left. Coming back into that tabletop. And switching sides, left leg comes back long behind you. Moving right into that movement right away, working through the sole of the foot, the calf. Still staying lifted within the low belly, keeping the rest of your shape supportive. Rolling over that big toe and really sinking that heel down, just working that space back and forth. And then bring that left foot outside the left hand. Once that plants, go ahead and start to walk the right toes back long so you feel that right hip now fall heavy. Coming up onto the fingertips, propping yourself up just a little bit higher. And then feel free to shift your weight side to side, opening and closing that left knee. Kind of working into your hips, allowing them to sink a little bit deeper. Working your way into the left hip, opening through the front of the right hip. Go ahead and settle into your shape. Come a little bit higher onto the fingertips, maybe onto peace fingers so you're feeling a little bit more lifted. And then go ahead and sink the hips back in space, coming into your half splits. Back toes tucked or untucked. Left knee can be towards the direction straight, doesn't have to be there. We're still creating space within our bodies. Looking beyond the front edge of the mat. And then come on back into that left foot. Hands plant, left foot, left knee meets the right. Keep those toes tucked, send the hips up and back in space, come into a downward facing dog. Find some stillness here. Strong within the arms. Lift within the hips. Heavy within the heels. And from here, slowly start to walk the feet up towards the hands for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Finding that forward fold at the top of the mat. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then go ahead and soften those knees. Find that forward fold. Maybe grab hold of the backs of the calves. Keeping that lift of the hips up and back in space. Inhale, halfway lift. Long spine, lifting that tailbone. Exhale, fall. Soft bend in the knees, ripple the body all the way up towards that standing position. Unraveling all the way through the spine. As you lift, arms inhale up and overhead. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up. Grab hold of that left wrist. Reach up towards the sky. Curtsy left foot behind the right and side bend over towards the right. Gazing over towards the left. Opening through the left side of the body, the left rib cage. Inhale back towards center. Grab hold of that right wrist. Inhale nice and tall. And then curtsy the right leg behind the left. Opening over towards the left side. Bowing the right rib cage towards the right. Inhale back towards center, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center. Soft bend in the knees, forward fold. Hinging at the hips. Fingertips come down to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step the left foot back, the right foot back, high plank. Then exhale, send the hips up and back down, facing dog. Breath here. Drop the knees, a little bit wider than hips. Big toes touch, send the hips back, child's pose. And grip your palms into the earth, round the spine, up and into that tabletop. Find that stable table. And then go ahead and bring the right foot outside the right hand. Walk the left toes back. And as those hips sink a little bit lower, come high onto those fingertips, lift the torso, gaze forward. Feel free to find some movement, moving that right knee in and out if you'd like. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Letting those hips fall a little bit heavier. But still finding that lift through the low belly. And then go ahead and send the hips back in space, half splits pose. Keeping that lift of the tailbone back behind you. Maybe that right knee is falling a little bit heavier towards the earth. Gaze remains beyond that front edge of the mat. Right foot plants, come back forward. Tuck those back toes and lift the back knee, driving that left heel back in space. Feel the change in sensation within that front hip. Keeping that left hip point down, but lifted forward towards that top edge. Driving the left heel. And then go ahead and spin that left heel down, and then start to walk your hands towards the long side of the mat, bending into the left knee, straightening through the right knee, coming into a side lunge towards the back of the mat, towards that Skandasana shape, but stay lifted. So the fingertips are still onto the earth, right toes are towards the sky, so you spun onto that right heel. Keep those sit bones sitting back in space, chest lifted out in front of you. Feeling that left thigh turn on, sit low. Feel that space within the right inner thigh. And then start to walk the hands back forward into that right foot. Bend that right knee. Staying down, keeping that left heel down, plant the right hand inside the right foot. Open the left arm towards side angle pose. Feel free to prop that right forearm up onto that right thigh if you'd like to be a little bit more supportive. Gaze up towards those left fingertips. Use that connection between right arm, right knee to keep that right hip nice and open. Left hand comes down. Spin onto the back toes. Lift that chest and heart up and forward once more. Drive that left heel down. And then staying lifted in that back knee. Straighten through the right leg. Come into pyramid pose. Squaring off through those hips. Really pulling that right hip forward. That right hip back, left hip forward. Right toes can lift or stay planted. Chest is lifted. And then bend back into that right knee. Drop the back knee. Hands plant. The right knee meets the left. And come into a child's pose just for a moment. Grip through the earth, round the spine up and in towards that tabletop. Left foot outside, left hand. As you walk those right toes back, come high onto those fingertips. Let the hips sink heavy. Toes can be tucked or untucked. You can find that movement right away if you'd like, if that felt good. Chest is nice and lifted. And then once you find your stillness, keep that left knee hugging in. And then send the hips back in space. Half splits pose. Left toes lift. Maybe you're finding a little bit more length within the back of that leg. Maybe it's going towards that direction straight with a little bit more ease. Staying high up onto those fingertips. You can always walk the hands a little bit closer to you if that feels more supportive. Or if you'd like to find a little bit more length in the spine, you can reach those fingertips nice and long. But the goal is to keep the chest and heart reaching towards the top of the mat. Come back into that left foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Drive that right heel down and back behind you. Feel the heaviness of the hips. And then go ahead and spin that right heel down. So the inner arch is parallel with the front and back of the mat. And then start to walk the hands towards the long side of the mat, bending through the right knee, straightening through the left knee. As you come onto the left heel, toes lift towards the sky, coming into that Skandasana. So the hips are still reaching back behind you. And the collarbones are still reaching out in front of you. So you're keeping that spine, that torso nice and long. You're turning on those muscles of the right thigh, so they're supporting you. So a little bit more energy here in this space, but that's a little bit of a lift. Staying on to the fingertips. Back body is engaged. Right knee is driving out and open. Giving yourself some space for those hips to sink a little bit lower. And then start to walk the hands back forward, keeping that right heel down. Planting the sole of the left foot. Bending into that left knee. Left hand comes inside left foot. Make that connection between arm and leg. And then open the body over towards the right, coming into side angle. Staying lifted through the arch of that right foot, grounding down through the outer blade of that right foot. You can always come up onto that left forearm for a little bit more support, more opening. Go ahead and bring both hands down inside that left foot, spin onto the back toes. Find that lizard lunge for just a moment. Driving that right heel back in space. Staying lifted through the low belly. Gaze forward. And then straighten through the left leg, send those hips back, coming into pyramid pose. Sole of the left foot could stay anchored, or you can find that lift of the toes. Coming back into that lizard lunge for a pause. Drop the back knee, hands plant, left foot meets the right, left knee meets the right. And then send the hips up and back in space, downward facing dog. From here, 10 count journey to the top of the mat, coming into that forward fold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find that fold. Once you get there, soften the knees. Maybe grab the backs of the calves once more. Inhale, halfway lift. Press the backs of the knees back in space. Find a nice long spine. Tailbone and sit bones are lifted. Reaching back behind you. Exhale, fold. Soft bend in the knees. On that inhale, you're rippling all the way up to a tall stand. Inhaling those arms up and overhead. Grab hold of that left wrist, reach nice and tall. Curtsy over towards the right, find that side body stretch. Gaze underneath that left armpit as you go through the left rib cage. Bumping the left side of the body over towards that side of the room. Inhale up and overhead. Reach tall. Exhale. Grabbing hold of that right wrist, bowing over towards the right, reaching towards the left. Inhale up and overhead. On the exhale, hands come through heart center, hinge the hips, soft bend the knees, find that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, step the right foot back. The left foot back, find that high plank for a pause. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Drop the knees. Find a little bit wider. Come into that child's pose. Grip through the earth. Really pull through those arms. Spread through the collarbones to find your tabletop position. One more round, adding on. Right foot outside the right hand. Walk the left toes back. Up onto the fingertips. Maybe the hips are sinking a little bit lower. Maybe you don't even need to create that space with that right knee moving in and out. Maybe you're able to get there right off the bat. Send the hips back, half splits. Keep that pull from opposite poles. Tailbone to crown of the head to stay nice and long. Come back into that right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Come into that low lunge. Stay lifted. Spin the left heel down. Walk the hands over towards the back of the mat as the right toes lift towards the sky. You sink into that left knee. Coming into that Skandasana. Maybe lift the hands for a little bit more energy into those legs. Keeping that left knee open, giving yourself some space to really sink low here, but staying energized for 3, 2, 1. Come walk those hands back for support as you come back into that low lunge and pause. Staying high up onto those fingertips, sinking low within that left heel. And then send the hips back in space, coming into that pyramid pose. Really lifting and reaching those sit bones back behind you. So not only that tailbone stay lifted, but both of those sit bones, or especially that right side, is reaching back. Finding length within that right leg, the back of that right leg. Bend back into that right knee. Plant the left hand. Right arm reaches out long in front of you. Tuck that right rib cage inside that right thigh. Feel that space that you've created for yourself. And then slowly, with that reach staying out in front of you, spin onto the outer blades of both feet. Coming into that high horizon lunge. Spinning the chest and heart over towards the right. Staying lifted, pressing through the outer blades to keep yourself supported. Slowly spin right on back. Right hand plants. Reintegrate, feel that length for just a moment. Drop the back knee. Right knee meets the left. Feel free to find a gentle weight shift forward and back. We're just going to move right into the left side. So on your next shift forward, bring that left foot outside the left hand. Walk the right toes back in space. Feel that length. Let the hips sink even lower, but keep that low belly lifted so you have the support to access that space with a little bit more depth. Send the hips back, half splits. Right toes lift. Come back forward into that left foot. Tuck the back toes, lift that back knee. Find that low lunge. Still staying high into that lizard, into that, onto the tips of the fingers in that lizard lunge. Maybe you're coming onto 2-piece fingers. Finding a little bit more lightness within the upper body, strength and heaviness within the lower body. And then spin that back heel down. Ground down through the sole of that right foot. Walk the hands back behind you, bending into that right knee, coming into Skandasana. Maybe you're finding a little bit of a deeper squat, but still staying strong and integrated so you're not going into your deepest space. You still want to challenge the strength of the lower body, driving that right knee out just a little bit to create that space for yourself. Arms can stay lifted if you'd like to find a little bit more energy. Here for 3, 2, 1. Slowly walk your hands back towards the front of the mat. I might have missed this on the other side, but we'll do it here. We'll find that side angle pose, so staying grounded within the sole of the right foot. Make that connection between left arm, left leg. Open the body up, side angle. Keeping those hips open towards the right side of the mat. Maybe gazing up towards your right fingers. Use that connection to really open up through the inner lining of the left leg. For 3, 2, 1. Right hand comes down. Spin onto the back toes. Find that low lunge for just a moment. Gaze lifts to the horizon. Keeping heavy within that right heel. And then straighten through that front left leg. Pyramid pose. Bending back into that left knee. Find that low lunge once more. Plant the right hand. And then reach that left arm forward towards the top of the mat. So you're really tucking that left rib cage in, exploring that depth. Keep that length within the side bodies. And then slowly start to slowly start to spin onto the outer blades of both feet as you keep that reach of the left arm. Keeping those side bodies long as you start to spin open, tucking the right hip underneath the left. Maybe you look up and over or underneath that left arm. Strong within the right arm to stay supported. Strong through the soles of the outer blades of the feet to keep you lifted for 3, 2, 1. Slowly spin back to your starting point. Reach now left hand forward. Left hand then comes down. Drop the back knee. Left foot meets the right. Hips go up and back, tucking those toes downward, facing dog. One more time to the top of the mats. Slow count of 10 to step forward for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Find that forward fold. And we'll be here for just a few extra breaths. So whether you want to grab peace fingers to big toes or slide the palms of the hands underneath the soles of the feet, or if you're comfortable just grabbing the behind the calves, wherever you'd like to make that connection happen to explore a little bit greater of a depth within your fold. Find that now. Wherever you are, find more of a softness within the knees to see if you can make that connection between the torso, the belly, and your thighs. And then once you're able to make the connection, then try to explore a greater lift of the hips up and back in space. like someone was grabbing grabbing hold of your hips in that hip crease and lifting that hip crease up and back in space. Like you had a rope or a towel in that hinge point and someone's pulling it up and back behind you. Find 3 more breaths here. Soften those knees even more and then slowly ripple all the way up towards standing. Inhaling those arms up and overhead. And as you reach fingertips up and towards the sky, maybe finding a slight back bend over to the front of the body. Then exhale, hands to heart center. On the inhale, big sweep of the arms up and overhead. Grab hold of that left wrist. Curtsy over towards the right. Explore that side body stretch once more. Maybe it's a little bit deeper, maybe that step's a little bit bigger. Inhale back towards standing. Grab hold of that right wrist. Find that tall spine. Exhale, curtsy over towards the left. Ease under that right armpit. Inhale back towards center. Really reach up, maybe find that back bend once more. And then exhale, hands to heart center, forward, fold. Fingertips come down to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Deep bend to the knees to allow your sit bones to find the earth. Hands or no hands to get there. And with your feet flat on the floor, or flat on the mat, go ahead and bring them nice and wide. Beyond the edges of your mat, grab hold of your ankles, your shins. Coming into like a bear sit. And grab hold of your lower leg. Pull the chest and heart forward, tall spine. And just find a few breaths here. Feel free to close your eyes. And then go ahead and bring the soles of the feet towards one another. Grab hold of the outer edges of both feet. You can bring the heels in nice and close to your groin. Find a tall spine once more. Press the outer edges of the knees down towards the mat. Inhale, tall spine. And then exhale, ground your forearms down into the inner lining of your legs and pull the chest and heart down towards your feet. Finding a nice flat spine. And then once you feel like you've maximized your length here, your fold here, then you can allow the head to fall heavy towards the toes. Slowly lift up. Go ahead and release your hold. Scoot your bottom back. Just allow those legs to straighten out in front of you. Wiggle them out for me. And then go ahead and slowly find your way onto your backs. Allow the feet to come flat, knees to knock toward one another. Arms to lay out wide. And just find your breath here. Wiggle the feet towards parallel to one another, so all the Lower body is parallel and in line. Go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Find your figure four. Find your expression of this shape. So feel free to bring the left knee in towards the chest if you'd like. Just breathe into any areas of tension, focusing your mind, your breath in towards the hips. So if there's tension anywhere else, acknowledge it, let it go. And go ahead and drop your shape. Drop the left foot, sole of the foot towards the mat. Grab hold of that right ankle. And then allow your shape to fall over towards the left. Find that twist. Right arm into a capital T. Go ahead and bring everything back towards center. Right foot meets the left. Go ahead and switch sides. Left ankle crosses over right knee. Find your expression of this supine pigeon pose. Stay here or bring the right knee in towards the chest, grabbing hold of your right shin, pulling your shape in toward you. And go ahead and lower the sole of the right foot down to the mat. Grab hold of that left ankle to keep your shape and allow everything to fall over towards the right. Left arm capital T. And again, focusing your breath in toward the hips. And allowing everything else to release, to fall soft, to soften, to fall heavy. Bring your shape back over towards center, left foot that meets the right, and go right into a soft bridge pose. So scoop the tailbone underneath you, press through the soles of the feet, lift the hips up towards the sky. Arms can rest alongside your body. Gentle lift of the chin away from the chest. And just here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Knees come in towards the chest. Grab hold of the outer edges of both feet. Come into happy baby. Rock side to side. Feel free to strain out through either leg to find a little bit deeper sensation. Feel free to turn this into a reclined fold, the plow pose, shoulder stand, whatever final pose you'd like to take, or you can stay here in happy baby for just a few more breaths. Make this final few moments your own. And then go ahead and slowly make your way into Shavasana. Legs stretch out long. Find the edges of the mat. And just tune back into your breath. Allow your body to settle with all of the space you've created throughout class today. Allowing the hips to fall heavy, to fall open. Allow for any fidgets. Create whatever space you need to allow that to happen. And just begin to scan your body with your breath. Releasing any and all tension that you feel like you're holding on to. Any tension that's not needed at this point in your practice, knowing that all the work is done for you here in this moment. But to keep the attention on your body even still. Not allowing your mind to wander. Knowing that this time is still your own. It's still part of your practice, even if your body is beginning to settle. And feel free to stay here for as long as you need, for at least 5 to 10 more breaths, to enjoy your Shavasana in its entirety and spend a little bit extra time if you have it. As always, thank you so much for practicing with me, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Have an awesome rest of your day.